So I got a couple of fun things left. I'm going to give you an untimely review. The reason I'm giving you this, I actually have 3 reviews I could do today, but I want to save 2 of them because Kaylan doesn't hurt them. So to pull back the curtain a little bit on last week, you may have noticed in the video version an edit because at some point it was so hot in my room here that I'm recording in that I had the fan on. So I was constantly muting my mic over and over and unmuting it to, try to hide the fan noise as best as I could. And at one point during Kaylan's review of Ratchet and Clank, I happened to turn off my mic and forget to turn it back on, so we had to do that. And during that entire conversation, I reviewed Monster Hunter, the movie that was on Amazon, which I will do shortly here. But during that case, we had a lot of issues, and we just decided that because we didn't have a lot of time left to record, because we're pretty strapped for time already when we do record on Tuesdays, we just quickly did the Ratchet review again, and then that was it. And we figured we'd do the Monster Hunter thing another time. Now, he's already heard my review of it, so it's not going to hurt his feelings if I do it here again, and that's what I'm going to do as some level of content that I can give you guys apart from the 2 stories that I've commented, because to be completely honest, there isn't really much else to talk about. So the first of 2 fun things, Monster Hunter, the Untimely review. I guess this is somewhat timely. I mean, it came out somewhat recently. So I knew from the moment that I saw screenshots and the initial trailer to this movie that it was going to be bad. I didn't know what kind of bad, because I had a feeling that Mortal Kombat would be bad, but I thought it would be a fun kind of bad like the original Mortal Kombat was. And I was right for the most part, minus a few story things in the second half of that movie that I don't like. Monster Hunter, I wasn't sure if it was going to be a fun bad or a just overall bad. And I came out of that movie going, I can't get that time back. And that's about all you need to know about Monster Hunter, but I'm going to continue more into it. I don't think Mila Jovovich did a bad job in the movie. I mean, I really love Mila Jovovich. I love her. I've watched Fifth Element, Ultraviolet, Resident Evil movies. She's done some pretty fun bad stuff, and I've enjoyed quite a lot of it. And Monster Hunter, I sat there thinking, okay, I already don't like the fact that Hollywood, because they like to get their hands on everything, that they got to put some sort of reality into it. So they're like, oh, the military fell into a portal and ended up in the Monster Hunter world. You couldn't just make a movie where you're in the Monster Hunter world and you get to see the journey of a bunch of hunters trying to get their way in the world. You couldn't just do that. You couldn't have a story about how this kid, his dad was killed by an Anjanath or Rathalos or whatever, or Nergigante. You couldn't have some crazy story or not crazy, some simple freaking basic shit story like that. No, you had to go the portal route because you need to get your military hoorah stuff in there. And the first 15 minutes is a waste of time because of that. The first 10 to 15 minutes of the movie is just introducing you to a bunch of people, not including Mila Jovovich. She's there, but she's just whatever at this point. A bunch of military people that end up dying really goddamn quick in this movie, and they got to do some moment where they sing some military songs as they drive into the sands of the middle of buttfuck nowhere. And that's the first 10 minutes of the movie, and I'm already sitting here being like, okay, what are you doing with this? And then portal opens, they fall, they get attacked by Diablos, kills a couple of people, end up in a cave, spiders come out, kill a couple more people, and then you're just left to Mila Jovovich and a hunter from the actual world that they're in. And, I guess I'm spoiling some stuff here by saying a couple, all the military people except Mila Jovovich die, but let's be honest, I don't care. And I don't think you'll care when they die because they don't matter, because you get no time to really be interested in these people. That's why I'm like, dude, if you just started the movie in the world already and stuck with the hunters, because they did. They started a very, very brief moment with a couple of characters that you do see come back eventually, getting attacked by a few monsters. And you're thinking, oh, that's a cool start to the movie. And then you forget, oh, yeah, the military stuff. And that's when they roll that in. If they just started with the hunter stuff leading into the story of the guy overcoming after that attack, that could have been an okay movie. But they had to put their Hollywood glitz part to it, and they brought in the military stuff, and everything just went downhill from there. So without spoiling the rest of the movie, Mila Jovovich is fine. The hunter guy is okay, although the problem is that movie is basically centered around one girl who can speak English and one guy who can't. That's most of the movie. As soon as the military goons are all gone, it's her and a guy who can't speak English. It's really, really dull and boring for a long part of the movie. And some really dumb shit happens with when these two kind of come into contact. That again, I'm not going to spoil, because if you want to have to deal with the suffering, you got to go and do that yourself. I'm not going to get you out of this. Or I guess you can just Wikipedia the damn movie and see it quickly. But the entire middle of the movie sucks. Absolutely sucks. The CG is really good. That's the good thing I'll say about the movie is the CG is fantastic. I love how it looks. I wish that Monster Hunter could have been a good movie with that look, because that could have been quite interesting. But the middle, in terms of like its pacing and the storytelling that it was trying to do and the dialogue, it's horrible. I almost wanted to turn the movie off, but I knew it was that deep in, I might as well finish. It finally gets to the point where Diablos is one of the two monsters, because Diablos and Rathalos are the two biggies in this. Diablos gets dealt with, they move on to Rathalos, things pick up a little bit, and then it ends just like that, without even really any warning. Like, I watched the time, like, when they finally get to Rathalos, I'm looking at how much time's left in the movie, and it's also including the credits. And I looked at my girlfriend who was watching it with me and be like, I don't know what the hell they're going to do here. There's no time. Rathalos is a big deal. They're going to this is either going to kill him off in 2 minutes, or, like, they're going to have this weird-ass cliffhanger. And again, without spoiling it, they didn't do something good with it. I can give you that much. I didn't really enjoy much of that. And the ending clearly opened it up to the possibility of doing more, and I really hope they don't, because, God, everything about it is horrible apart from the CG. Like, the acting is mostly bad. Like, Ron Perlman tried his ass off to save it, but he looks horrible. I don't know what they did with his makeup in this movie, but it looks horrible. He's in there for a couple of minutes, and I wish he wasn't there at all, because I feel like that's just something that, like, I hope he got a nice paycheck, because Lord knows that was a waste of his talent. Mila Jovovich did the best she could in a really, really bad movie, and sometimes she can overcome it, and sometimes she doesn't, and this is one of the times where she didn't. I didn't like her very much in this. The monsters did their best. There was one moment in this movie that I actually, like, said, okay, I can deal with this movie now just for this moment. They do, like, anybody who's played Monster Hunter World knows the scene every time you cook something when the Palicos get to cook something. The cat people. They do the Palico cooking scene briefly, and I'm like, okay, fine, I'll accept this as, like, the one thing about this movie I'll like apart from the CG. Okay, fine, I'll take that. And that's it. CG's really nice, and the Palico cooking scene. That's about all the nice things I can say about this movie. Otherwise, the beginning, in terms of the military stuff, was a waste of time. They wasted so much valuable time doing that. The middle of the point where the hunter and Mila Jovovich's character interact for the first little bit sucks. Makes no sense and doesn't move anything forward. The fact that they save Rathalos for the last, like, 10 minutes of the movie is horrendous. Shows just that the people who were working with this really didn't know what the hell they were doing. They did, like, I can't even explain to you how badly they dealt with the lore. Like, oh my God, they turned it into a mystical, like, magic adventure with a portal that was suddenly, like, putting people in and out of dimensions and shit. I'm like, dude, Monster Hunter is basically the simplest concept you have. You are a person, you hunt big creatures, you take their skin, and you make weapons and armor out of it. That's it. And they basically didn't touch it. Like, and by the way, I guess the other thing that I have, the military is using tank rifles and RPGs, and it doesn't do anything against Diablos. But a twin blade made out of, I guess, a spider fang, cuts through everything. No, I'm not accepting that. Not accepting that at all. So, all in all, Monster Hunter is a 1.5 star at best movie. The Palico and the CG might be the only thing giving it that half star. I really implore you guys to not watch that film. Unless you want to literally watch a horrible movie and you intended to. I kind of went in knowing that. So I didn't leave disappointed. I just left like, I'm so glad I'm not really attached to Monster Hunter. Like, I really have just played Monster Hunter World and that's it. But I'm still kind of annoyed because I really like Monster Hunter World and I was hoping that they would do something cool when I heard the first time that they were going to do a Monster Hunter movie. But again, Hollywood ruins everything like they always do with video game movies. It seems like every time we get a Sonic the Hedgehog or a Detective Pikachu, there's a Monster Hunter. And I guess there's a Mortal Kombat because, again, the Hollywood story part of it, they had to get Cole Young in there. Even though the fighting in CG was really good, they always got to ruin it somehow. They can't just go with the lore and let people who actually like the thing they're making do it.